Richician!
Hey YouTube, Dark Richician 84 here, and continuing my history series, I am now going to talk about 2007. This was the year where I, for the first time ever, had real tournament success, winning my first ever 3 tournaments. And of course, I met even more new friends at the various elite tournaments along the way. Spiky Paul, Jonesy, the Code Brothers, Callum, Timby, Davies, Gillett, and Anna. Yeah, this was when I met one of the exes that I don't normally speak of. However, for the sake of the series, I suppose I will, even though I don't generally like talking about things that bring back bad memories, but again, for the sake of the series, I'll make an exception. So, yeah, to kick things off, first tournament of the year, I entered my generic machines to see how I'd do, and boy did I do well. So I remember, not that, almost all of my matchups. I went 3 wins and 2 losses in Swiss. My losses were against Russ with some light deck. My other loss was against Tobias, who at the time was playing Taxman Burn. Yeah, I struggled a lot against that deck, and in one of the duels I was actually dropped to 500, and then Toll was played, which meant wait, no, was it Chain Energy? It might have been one of the two, but it meant that I couldn't play a single card from my hand, otherwise I'd just die right there and then. However, my wins, one of them I don't remember, but the other one was against G, who was playing Macro, I believe, but I was able to win against that. And then I won against, well, kind of an old friend from the Watford tournaments, Antonio, and he was playing Dark Magician, and I managed to win against him. But it just kind of sucks that I wasn't using my own Dark Magician deck, because I enjoy a mirror match, or at least did enjoy. Mirror matches aren't really that great nowadays, because Dragoon exists, but that's another story. So yeah, I won against him, I made the top 8, and then got paired against him again, and got a win against him. Then in the top 4, went up against Tobias again, only this time I was able to properly fight back, and it did actually go to a 3rd game. I think this was the only match where I actually summoned Perfect Machine King against him, and went on to win the match. Then I went up against Russ in the final, and I was able to win 2-1 against him, and I was just in a lot of disbelief at first. I remember saying, wait, I actually won the tournament? And yeah, it was just great. It was such an awesome feeling finally winning one. It wasn't with Dark Magician, but at least I won one. And I got 2 prizes, one of which was this t-shirt. And yeah, I've kept it ever since. And another one was a Raviel Lord of Phantasms collectible tin, and this is the exact same Raviel from that tin, and I've kept it ever since. as yeah, I just wanted to keep a trophy and a reminder of my first ever success in tournaments, and Derek 3D printed this stand like several years later, and that's what I've kept Raviel in. Although in 2009 I did actually side deck this in my Evil Hero deck, so I could do some Dark Gaia shenanigans. Pardon me. So yeah, that was that. Then some point after that, I got a couple of Magician's Valkyrias for my Dark Magician deck and put them in, and they worked quite well, especially when they'd hold off an attack from a Hydrogeddon in a tournament. And after that, I guess the next notable thing was actually when I first met Anna. Well, not really, but first saw her around the tournaments, and yeah, I will admit she did catch my eye at the time. I mean, I would have gone over to talk to her, but I was just too shy, as yeah, obviously those who've known me for a long time will know that I have confidence issues, including when it comes to women. I don't have the courage to approach them. Thankfully, most of the time, they approached me first, which made things easier. I mean, once I am talking to them, then I'm fine, pretty much. But yeah, we didn't interact, of course. Oh yeah, and before that tournament, I entered with Elemental Heroes again, because I could. Not many players participated, but I was able to make top 4, and I think I lost against Russ, who was playing Gadgets, because this was round about the time when the first machine structure that came out, the one that gave us Ancient Gear, Kajultron Dragon, and introduced the Gadgets to the TCG. So yeah, they started seeing play. Followed by that tournament where I saw Anna about for the first time. Then a week later there was another tournament where she showed up, but almost all the competitive players had gone off somewhere else to the strike of Neo Sneak Peek. I mean, there were a couple of competitive players, but this actually gave me an opportunity to, well, try and win the whole thing with Dark Magician. And I actually could have done. I was on a roll. Like, I went undefeated in Swiss. Yeah, yeah, I was just on fire, and I just breezed through the whole thing. And I remember Blue saying, "I think Richie's going to win the whole tournament." Unfortunately, this was a jinx, but I'll get to that later. Who did I have in top 8? I can't remember. Was it Starren? It might have been, I'm just not sure. It was either Starren or Derek, but I'm pretty sure I faced off against him in the top 4. But I do remember I faced off against Jonesy in the final, and I even remember Anna sticking around for that. I don't think she topped, but did stick around to watch several duels, including the final, and it did go to a third game. Boy, was it intense. I was pretty nervous throughout the whole thing. In fact, these nerves may have caused me to make a misplay, which I did mention in my top 10 worst misplays ever videos. I did talk about it already, but I'll go over it again. So there was one point in Game 3 where his Sangan went to the graveyard and he added Karibo to his hand, and this was something that I completely forgot about. And there was one point where I dropped him to very low life points. It might have been 200 or 400, not quite sure. And I had 3 sheep tokens on the field, and I remember I cleared out his monsters with something, and I had Sacred Phoenix on the field as well, and Premature Burial in my hand. But I was only on 1,000 life points. But I didn't bother using it because I thought I had game right there and then, and I went to attack for game, but he dropped Karibo. So then I ended my turn, and then he special summoned Cyber Dragon, and then sacrificed it to tribute summon Air Knight Parshaf and attack one of my tokens for game. And I was like, no! I was so gutted and really unhappy after that. That was the best I ever did in a tournament, and I could have and should have won, and I messed up, all because I forgot about Karibo. Because had I remembered, I would have activated Premature Burial, brought back literally any one of my monsters, and I would have won right there and then, and I would have got my second ever tournament win, and the first ever tournament win with Dark Magician, and I messed up. Nightmare. And after that, Elemental Hero Stratos came into the TCG, and I was hearing about how this was a big boost for Elemental Hero decks. Although at the time, this was when Diamond Duke Turbo came into the game, which was one of those very few meta decks that I actually genuinely did like, and I would go on to try and build it myself, even though a lot of the cards, like Card Trooper, Mali, Destiny Draw, and Magical Stone Excavation, were just ridiculously expensive and hard to get at the time. But I tried anyway. But in the meantime, I wanted to get a Stratos for my Elemental Hero deck, because that was the priority. In fact, I remember one Saturday, before a hall tournament, I went to the Yu-Gi-Oh shop in the old, not London Underground, Underground Market, and there was a Stratos for sale, and I bought that, then went off to the tournament and put Stratos right in my deck. And again, I did pretty well in Swiss. I don't remember my losses in Swiss, but I do remember 3 matches. They were against Gillett and Davies and Starron, and this would be the first time I'd properly meet Gillett and Davies and play against them. And I remember Gillett was playing Elemental Heroes as well at the time, which was the first round, so we were playing a mirror match, and I managed to win that. I don't remember the order of my other matches, but I went up against Starren, who was playing some Cyber Dragon cards in his old Dragon deck. I remember him being stuck behind a Shining Flare Wingman, and he tried to go for Chimera Tech, but it wasn't quite strong enough, and I won that match. Then Davies was playing something with a bunch of dinosaurs and Final Countdown, and I remember being horrified when he activated Final Countdown and was like, oh shit. So yeah, I was put on a timer and put on a lot of pressure to try and win the duel before time ran out, and boy, he didn't make it easy, but I managed to pull it off. And then I made the top 8 and went up against G. Now at the time, G was playing a generic insect deck. My Elemental Heroes are a deck that can actually put up a fight against it. Because there were occasions in tournaments earlier in the year where my Dark Magician deck lost against it, unfortunately. But Elemental Heroes definitely put up a good fight, and I remember winning game 1, mainly thanks to Thunder Giant, and G being a little bit mortified about what happened, and Tobias was watching the whole thing sitting next to me, just laughing his arse off. Unfortunately, I lost the match, but it was still a good time, and Stratos was a big help. After that, there was another small tournament at Derek's place, and by small I did mean small, because it was just me, Derek, Tobias and Blue. Not a fault though. So we just played a few rounds of Swiss. That fucking stinks. Yeah, I took Dark Magician. Derek was obviously on his Cyber Dragons. Blue was also on Dark Magician. I'm not sure what the name of Tobias's deck was. I know it played some Hydrogeddons and was it Monarchs? It might have been. I can't remember. It's been so long, as I'm sure you can appreciate. I mean, we're talking, 16 years ago now? Me and Derek ended up in the final, I think it went to a third game, but I remember getting out Sacred Phoenix and something else, and just winning the match, and yeah, I got my second ever tournament win, and that time was my first ever tournament win with Dark Magician, and it definitely made up for the stupid mistake I made several weeks before, which cost me a tournament win. So yeah, that was 2 big achievements done: winning a tournament and winning one with Dark Magician. Although it was quite funny how I hadn't won one of my warrior deck at the time, at least not yet. After that, there was another regional, but this one was in High Wycombe, and before someone asked, no, it wasn't at Tabletop Republic. Oh God, I don't think Tabletop Republic even existed yet. Because we're still talking 2007 here. And I remember going along with Derek, Clive, and I think Russ and Jonesy as well. G and some of the others went along as well, but they got there a different way. And I decided to take my machine deck with me because I figured that would help me qualify, considering that I did win a tournament with it right at the start of the year. Yeah, no such luck. My first round was against a guy playing Elemental Heroes, so I thought, okay, this shouldn't be too difficult, even though I race Elemental Heroes. And I won game 1 with no problems, and game 2 was just awkward. I got stuck behind Rampart Blaster and couldn't get past it, and I wasn't drawing anything that could get rid of it, and I had a Mirror Force face down which I couldn't even use to destroy it. I mean, eventually I did top deck a Sakuratsu armor and set it. I was thinking, yes, this will help me get rid of it. And then the opponent did something completely out of the blue. He then sacrificed Rampart Blaster for Jinzo. Yeah, you heard me right. Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. Who the hell plays Jinzo in an Elemental Hero deck? And I even asked the guy, why are you playing Jinzo in an Elemental Hero deck? And he said, oh, I do it to protect my heroes from traps. And I just couldn't draw anything to get rid of it, and ended up losing again. Just straight up losing that one. Game 3 wasn't much better. Didn't do that much. He then got out Jinzo again, and there was nothing I could do to get round it. Now, I did have ways to deal with it, but I just wasn't drawing anything, and I ended up losing. Yeah, that was just shocking. I couldn't believe I lost to an Elemental Hero deck with my machines. Even to this day, I feel I should not have lost that. That was just down to bullshit bad luck. Then I went up against something a bit more competitive. I think it might... No, it was Monarchs I went up against. Confiscation hurt me a bit, and yeah, Monarchs just did the usual things to make my life a misery, and I lost that 2-0. Then I went up against someone playing 6 Samurais, and I was doing alright to start off with. I overwhelmed a couple of his monsters with Hydrogeddon, and I had the means to tribute summon like any of my best monsters. I think I had Jinzo in hand, don't remember what else I had, but then the guy flips up Mask of Restrict, which just really horrified me. I was like, no, I can't summon my best machines. And then I just got easily overwhelmed and lost that one. And the same thing happened in game 2. So, yeah, I lost the first 3 games, and I was just really unhappy after that, and started losing hope of qualifying. But things did pick up. In the 4th round, I went up against what I thought was a random deck, because I remember seeing Frostosaurus and D-Fissure, but I was still able to win against that deck 2-0. Although, looking back, I think what I thought was a random deck may have actually been a deck based on Tyranno Infinity, that dinosaur that gains 1,000 attack points for each of your banished dinosaurs. After that, I went up against some kid playing Destiny Heroes, which for some reason was randomly playing Dark Magician Girl, Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke, and Gravity Bind. Yeah, a bit strange. Yeah, I won game 1 with no real problems, but then in game 2, I got stuck behind Gravity Bind. Mind you, I did have a few beaters on the field already, so it wasn't that much of a problem, but it was frustrating that some of my best monsters couldn't attack. I ended with an insane board, though. I think I got out Cyber Twin Dragon, and I already had a Cyber Dragon on the field, and I tribute summoned something else for Jinzo, which just nullified Gravity Bind, and yeah, I took the match from there. Then in round 6 I went up against someone playing yeah, the standard cookie cutter deck with Don's Lugs, Mystic Tomatoes, just generic good cards. I didn't have too much trouble with that either. In fact, I remember in game 2 I overwhelmed him with a board of Cyber Twin Dragon again and Ancient Gear Beast, and I think I had Blowback Dragon on the field as well, I can't remember. So yeah, I evened out my score and was on 3 wins and 3 losses, and I was hoping that if I could win just one more match, then maybe I could qualify, although unfortunately at the start of round 7 someone asked the judge, can we qualify with just 4 wins, and he said no. And yeah, I just felt really disappointed and gutted, just thinking, is there any point continuing? And what made it worse is I got pitted against another Monarch deck and lost against that. So yeah, not a good run again, and funnily enough this was the exact same score as my score from the previous regional that I'd played in. 3 wins, 4 losses. Yeah, I was just gutted. Like, yeah, I just got really unlucky. I mean, the 6 Samurai player just luck sacked me. I mean, he only won because of Mask of Restrict. Whereas the Elemental Hero player I shouldn't have lost to, whereas the Monarch matchup, I don't know, but yeah, the previous time it was because of that stupid rule where I couldn't use cards from the Spellcaster's Judgment Structure deck that screwed me over. This time I just put it down to bullshit bad luck, which was unfortunate. Anyway, after that, this was when I actually got into YouTube content creating, because round about this time my other brother, Andy, aka Andy Von Jag, had started making YouTube videos because he got a camera for his birthday and was making these random, silly yet funny videos, which were genuinely entertaining. And I was thinking, wow, this is so cool and awesome. I want to have a go at this as well. Now, of course, in order to do that, I needed a camera. And I did have a little digital camera, which I used for taking pictures normally. But what I didn't realise until, or was it April or May that year, was that it could record videos as well. And I got this camera as a birthday present back in 2005. I think I still have that camera, but I don't think it works anymore. 30 minutes in and I haven't finished talking about the year. Oh well, let's roll with it. And then one day I hung out with Brendan and Igor in the park, and we were taking photos of each other for our MySpace profiles. Yeah, who remembers that being a thing, like before Facebook? Even though Facebook did come about in 2004, which I didn't even know at first, I don't remember when MySpace was made though. Although interestingly enough, I did start using Facebook in 2007. But anyway, Brendan inadvertently did a video of himself, but I think he was trying to take a photo, which I didn't even notice until I looked back at the camera the following day, and then I saw it and was just taken aback by what I saw. It was almost like I was tripping balls or something. I was like, what the fuck? The picture moved! Like, I was just really weirded out by this, and I showed Chris, my other brother, this. I was like, hey Chris, check this out, this picture can move. And then he said, that's because it's a video. I was like, yeah, that was a really stupid, derpy moment from my life. Oh crap, I need to make space on there. I'll worry about that later. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so I actually did have the ability to record videos. Unfortunately, I did have a small memory card, and it could only record videos to like up to just over 10 minutes. But then again, that was okay for the time, because at the time there was a limit for how long a YouTube video could be, and back then there was a 10-minute limit. So probably can't get much out of it unless they're short videos. So then I recorded a short funny video at Brendan's birthday party. I did upload. Did I? Yeah, I did upload it to Facebook. I didn't upload it to YouTube though. YouTube content would come the following day. So yeah, the following day went along to a Ferris Elite tournament, and there were two tournaments running actually, a normal one and the Force of the Breaker sneak peek. So I entered the normal one with my Elemental Hero deck, and did really well that day. And I only lost one match, which was against Ross, who I think was playing Demise OTK. Yeah, that was an annoying thing from back then. It was like, great, just when Stein OTK had been killed off, Demise OTK comes along. We just can't catch a break, or couldn't, I should say. But yeah, I did win all my other games. One of which I don't remember, but 3 of them I do. I beat Balti with his trolley defensive deck thing. Then I beat Afro Matt. Yeah, that's someone who I forgot to mention. Good old Afro Matt and his brother, like, they were regulars from the early days of the Pharaoh's Elite tournaments. Like his brother played some more somewhat competitive stuff, but Afromat played a Dark Paladin deck. Yeah, it was in this match where my YouTube history properly began. This was when I recorded the famous Bubble Man for Game video. So he had no monsters, which I think I cleared out, and I flip summoned a Bubble Man and 2 Claymen, and normal summoned a Wild Heart, I think, and it was like Wild Heart attacks with Wild Slash, Clayman attacks, and I attack with Bubble Man for Game. And Ballsy was like, "You're joking." I was like, "I'm deadly serious." And then the next funny game ender came when I went up against Timby. Oh yeah, this was the second time I played him. I forgot to mention that there was a tournament a week before where I played my machine deck again and first met Timby and beat him with my machine deck. And I made top 4 and I lost thanks to a top-decked Snatch Steal. Like, why the hell did it get unbanned? But anyway, going back to this tournament, yeah, there was a point where he was stuck behind Thunder Giant, but and he had an Indomitable Fighter Lily in defense mode, and I was sport for choice what to do. Should I use Thunder Giant's effect to just destroy it and attack for game with him, or should I do something else? I ended up doing the other thing. I normal summoned Treeborn Frog, and he was like, "I am not losing to a Treeborn Frog." And I would Treeborn Frog attacks Indomitable Fighter Lily, and then Thunder Giant attacks. That was funny. Oh, and if you're wondering why the hell I was playing a Treeborn Frog in my Elemental Hero deck, it was because of discard fodder. As when Graceful Charity was legal, I played Treeborn Frog as discard fodder for that, but then later on it would be more discard fodder for Thunder Giant and Wild Wingman. That was the logic behind it. And it did give me an extra monster on the field if need be, in case I needed to tribute summon either Necroshade or Blade Edge. Although ideally I would want to get a Necroshade into the graveyard so I could summon Blade Edge with no tributes. And yeah, there was no top cut for this tournament, but I'm pretty sure I did finish second because I only lost 1 match, so I think in actuality this actually may have been the first tournament where I finished second with Elemental Heroes rather than the first tournament of 2008, but I'll get to that later. Then what else happened? I guess the next significant thing after that would be the Summer Cup qualifiers. This was when I would actually interact with Anna for the first time ever. So yeah, I arrived and saw that she was talking with G. So I went over to join in with whatever conversation they were having. And then I remember he asked Anna how he'd rate my dueling skills, and she said 95%. And then I actually had a game against her. after the tournament, and yeah, I won against her. Oh, and she was playing Blue Eyes White Dragon, by the way, with a few random cards like Guardian Sphinx. But yeah, as for the tournament, yeah, I think I did my standard score, which was 3 wins and 2 losses. And I lost against G in the top 8. Oh, and he was playing Perfect Circle Monarch, another deck from back then that I didn't like, because, well, it's a Monarch deck, and you guys know how much I fucking hate Monarchs. I didn't even draw very well during that game. It wasn't really because of the Monarchs. I kept seeing the same cards, including a Call of the Haunted, which wouldn't do me much good, and twice in a row it got blown away by Heavy Storm. So yeah, unfortunately I didn't qualify for that, but I know G and Seb did. And then the following week, I decided to try my luck with Warriors instead of Dark Magician, and I decided to dress a little bit nicer in case Anna was there, but she wasn't. And this one was running alongside the Tactical Evolution sneak peek, so I thought I was in with a better chance. And boy, did I make use of that chance. And I remember I lost against Shaggy Dave in round 1 playing Demise OTK, and I lost against Seb as well, but I did win against Callum, who was playing Dark World, thankfully, and I must have won my other 2 matches, because I did make the top 8, and I remember I faced Blue with Dark Magician, and this was a very close match, but I was able to win that, even though he stopped a cool play I tried to make. So he had a Dark Magician on the field, and I had Rocket Warrior and Goblin Attack Force on the field. So the plan was to attack Dark Magician with Rocket Warrior and make it lose 500 attacks so that Goblin Attack Force could run over it, but he did something to counter it. I don't remember who won that particular duel, but I still won the match. Then I faced Seb in round 4, top 4, and beat him and got revenge. And then I faced off against Callum in the final. Oh yeah, and I remember I was running Sacred Phoenix in the deck. I don't know if it was a main deck option or a side deck option, but it helped me win the whole thing. So yeah, I overcame his Dark Worlds and won the tournament. So that was my 3rd tournament win, and the first one with my generic Warriors. Of course, the result didn't really matter to me because we both qualified, because at the time whoever would make the top 2 would automatically qualify for the Summer Cup Store final, which came about a few weeks later. So yeah, I went there, I took Dark Magician. I don't remember all the matchups, but I know I lost to G with Zombies. I beat Callum, who was still playing Dark World. I beat Timby with a deck that he said was designed to specifically counter mine, which was quite funny. It didn't really work, but because I won the match, although I did win through end of match procedure, one of the few times where I did, and it did go to a 3rd game, to be fair. and then I won against Benedict. Don't remember what he played. It might have been Gadgets, I'm not sure. I did enough to make top 8 all the same. And I won my top 8 match. I then made the top 4 and lost against Spiky Paul, who was playing 6 Samurais, and by that point 6 Sams were his signature deck. Now he and G did make the top 2, and again, whoever would make top 2 in a store final would qualify for the actual final. However, G had already qualified in another store final, and his place went down to me because I ended up finishing 3rd in the tournament, or at least I should have got his place. So yeah, I was like, yes, I qualified. But then a few days later, I was told that I couldn't qualify because it's still there was some stupid ruling where only the top 2 would still qualify and no places get passed down, which I thought was absolute bullshit and completely unfair. So yeah, once again I got screwed out of playing in a big event. Fuck my life. Of course, by this point, the September 2007 format was in full swing. My absolute favourite format ever, and we had one of the best ban lists ever. You know, Ring of Destruction, Snatch Steal, Metamorphosis, and Confiscation got banned, which was absolutely fantastic because we got 3 annoying degenerate cards were out of the game, and Demise OTK lost a play that they could do. You know, changing like a Doomdozer or Demise into a Cyber Twin Dragon. Unfortunately, that didn't really stop it in its tracks, as it was still a big threat. So yeah, Upper Deck Entertainment just didn't do enough to stop it, really. And as great as that format was, Demise OTK was just annoying, and I strongly felt that Demise itself should have been banned. And Perfect Circle Monarch was still around, which was annoying, despite the fact that Riser got limited. But other than that, it was a great format and very enjoyable for what it was. Let's see. I'm trying to remember any other significant moments in September and October. Well, I guess the next big thing that happened that year was Pharaoh's Tour qualifiers again. Yeah, obviously because Trotters was no more, I'd go somewhere else for this. In fact, I travelled with G and Timby to an event in Milton Keynes, and I took my warrior deck to that, and I actually did quite well in that one. I think I only lost 2 games. I remember I did beat a Venom deck and I think a Gravekeeper deck. I think I may have faced off against G and lost against him. Now after that there was some confusion about whether or not I did enough to qualify. one person said I did qualify, but G said that I didn't. So yeah, I was gutted. Although rather annoyingly, at the start of 2008, it turned out that I actually did qualify, and I didn't get notified until a few days before the actual Pharaohs Tour final, and obviously I didn't have time to make any preparations to go there. So yeah, again, I got screwed out of playing in a big event, all because of some confusion about whether or not I qualified or not, and misinformation. Unbelievable. And then I guess the last notable thing about 2007 was the start of tag team tournaments. Yeah, the last tournament of the year was a tag team one, and I teamed up with Blue, which made sense because we were both playing Dark Magician decks, and we called ourselves Magicians Unite, named after that spell. And we did quite well, despite losing against G and Ross and Seb and Ed. Yeah, losing against Seb and Ed just sucked, and we only lost because we ran into Marshmallow. Yeah, that was really, really annoying. In fact, I think I used to hate Marshmallow at the time, like, a lot. At least until I started playing it in my Yugi character deck, and then since then Marshmallow became more of a love-hate card. I mean, I'm happy to use it myself, but it's really fucking annoying when it's used against me. I think we did top in that tournament though, but unfortunately we didn't win it. Oh, and back then tag team rules were a bit different to how they actually are. They were actually played as best of 3 games. I can't remember if we shared life points or not. I don't remember what the rule was for that. But yeah, that was 2007 in a nutshell. A good year for Yu-Gi-Oh! All around, despite getting cucked out of qualifying for the regionals, the Summer Cup final, and the Pharaohs Tour final, but it was still all good all the same. I had a lot of tournament success that year. The best I did ever, really. Even though I would win a few tournaments here and there afterwards, but yeah, had some real success there. Along with the start of my favourite format, and the fact that we got one of the best ban lists ever, September 07. Anyway, that's that. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for when I talk about 2008. See you guys later. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Richician YouTube channel.